Welcome everyone to day 8 of Code Call with Leon Anderson.
Hello.
Uh, Hello. Today was the first day that you've been using JavaScript, is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
That's so awesome. We can't wait to hear. So let's just jump right into it. How was your day? What did you do today? What did you learn?
Well, before we go into JavaScript, I have to mention that yesterday, like we had the code call like in between of the day, so there was some more stuff in CSS I did yesterday that I would like to share real quick, and that is Bootstrap, and I found that to be it was fun to have. So Bootstrap is basically kind of a framework, or let's say, um, I don't know if it's an organization or company. Some people from Bootstrap who call themselves Bootstrap, they did like a CSS style sheet that is very compressed. So it takes minimum space, or you can also inserting it. You can link to their online hosted version of it, and this style sheet has like many templates that are like it's like settings that can be accessed with typing in classes and not IDs but classes, and you can string all these classes together in different combinations, and this way you almost have to you can almost work without having your own style sheet, or at least to build like a solid looking prototype, and then you can fine tune it with your own styling. We didn't go into own styling yet, but just working with the Bootstrap was fun, because you have very quick results, and yeah, I think there's not much more to say to Bootstrap.
I love that you got the first taste of like a framework, because that was something that we talked about quite a bit in a few streams, where you said, "Oh, they have to do all this stuff from scratch," and Bootstrap has given you the first taste of no, like a lot of stuff is already done, and you just need to use tools. You don't need to work very low level.
Exactly. And I'm guessing you showed me another framework that you used, if I could remember correctly. Tailwind, is that also similar to Bootstrap, or am I understanding that right?
Almost. So the thing is that Bootstrap uses its own JavaScript also, and Tailwind in and of itself is only a library to make CSS easier to use and to read. But then there's this that I'm sharing right now, which is Tailwind Components, which is from the creators of Tailwind. And that is basically their library where they style the components with Tailwind. And then they also, for some components, give you JavaScript. Basically, they give you JavaScript if it's necessary to give you also full pre-made components. And just from my personal experience, this works even better than Bootstrap. However, it's always best to learn Bootstrap first, just because Bootstrap is very old and therefore it's very widespread. A lot of job opportunities are working with Bootstrap, so it's definitely good if you know Bootstrap or you've at least heard of it.
Got it. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. And there I also learned for the first time with Bootstrap that JavaScript is pasted, or is written at the bottom of the body in the HTML. or I guess linked, not written. So that was also part of the bootstrap, that we pasted some JavaScript links at the bottom of the body. And yeah, that's a good transition to go into JavaScript, I guess. Should I
Let's do it.
just? All right. Yeah. So a lot of stuff. I did 1, 2, 2.5 sections today. So 3 hours, which took like 4 hours maybe in total. And yeah, I learned the console, using the console instead of the browser, the editor. We had a discussion today. Like, I asked some question about it, and later in the course it got got answered. So I think maybe it's a timing issue sometimes. How cold the host of the teacher of the course is ordering stuff, maybe, or maybe I'm just too curious. But yeah, I was basically, we worked the whole time in the console, and then the coding exercise was in an editor, and I was just used to seeing that during the videos we always had we directly saw the output, or the, yeah, let's say, results of the of what we wrote into the console in JavaScript. And in the editor, in the coding exercise, when I clicked run test, I passed the coding exercises, but it didn't show like the results. So I was a bit like, it says, yeah, the results are correct, but it didn't show the results. So I was a bit confused there. So yeah, that's but that's basically solved now, because now I know that you have to basically open the console in the browser, just as you're seeing HTML in the browser when you open it there and refresh to see the results of your code. And I'm looking forward to also explore the, like, I don't know if it's really that useful, but you sent me like Quokka.js, which is like showing me inside of the editor what the results are, exactly what you're showing there. And yeah, so I learned all the different terminologies, like all the different, probably not all the different types, but like numbers, strings, not in numbers, const, let, like how they, like the dynamics, how they get updated, how you can update them. Some of them, like the const, can't be updated, and how the yeah, it has some sort of cascade to it as well when you're working inside of the inside of the console. I don't know how it's going to be inside the editor, but we will see. I think I'm now at the section where it's starting to where we're starting to work more in the editor. Booleans, so basically yes, yes, no, true, false answers. Then camel naming convention versus snake naming convention. Then probably not in the right order, but also had backticks, putting stuff in backticks. such a weird word. Backtick, backtick, like reverse ticks, reverse quotes, and within the backticks you can put like $ brackets for the code that you want to, for the I don't know if it's called operators or inputs maybe that you want to be processed, and outside of the $ brackets within the backticks you can put like text that you want as part of the part of the output. So you bought two artichokes, or you bought two items, that is so and so much dollars in total, and then you can have the items in $ brackets, and the addition of the item costs, like item 1 plus item 2, in the second $ bracket, and then it gets outputted as text with numbers inside, like with the final computed numbers, and this way it's easier to string together results, or to string together what you want, than to put everything in separate usual exclamation marks and string them together with pluses. That's one thing, maybe a bit abstract when you don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, you know, but maybe the listeners aren't. And yeah, what else? Strings. Yeah, like how to count the different how do you say it? How to count at which place within a string there's the letter. So if you have a string of hello, basically, in quotes, then you start with 0. 0 is H, E is 1, LL is 2, 3, O is 4, and you can search. What was the command? You can search for at which place the letter is within the code, within the string, and then you can use these numbers, or you can count them, and then use these numbers to cut out with I think it was split or splice or cut. What was the string methods? Yeah, there are. I mean, maybe. Yeah, split, exactly. You can split like the split strings in different parts, and then only use those parts for other purposes. And yeah, what else? Yeah, like how just the syntax of the equal signs, that if you want to use the equal sign in an if command, if then command. Oh yeah, if then statements. Oh yeah, very important. I learned if then statements. And if you want to use an equal command or equal sign there, you have to use 3 basically. Otherwise, it's not. So if you want to say if you want to make an if statement, if an input is an even number, you can how do you say it? You can represent it as, or you can write it as, if input in bracket and then brackets, and then what was it? If is even, brackets, then input variable name basically, then percentage sign 2, 3 3 3 equal signs, and then a 0, because the percentage sign is showing how often the number afterwards is fitting. No, not how often it's fitting, but how much is left if you try to fit the number afterwards. So if you want to fit, if you have 13 percentage 5, the result will be 3, because 5 is fitting into 13 2 times, and what's left over is 3. And in order to find out what if a number is even or odd, you can see like how often does 2 fit into, or what's left over if you try to divide it by 2, and if you divide it by 2 and it's 0, then you have then you know it's an even number, and if it's not 0, then you know it's an odd number. This way you can check very very long numbers as well, if they're odd or even. Yeah, we played around with random numbers. There was some stuff about how to so usually the random numbers are from 0 to 1, so they're like 0 point something, and there are ways to make them bigger than that by adding, for example, if you want a number between 0 and 20, no, or 0 and 30. Yeah, I have to admit I have to look into that, for like if I need to use that, sometimes I have to look into that again to be really to really understand it fully, but or to replicate it fully. But you have to multiply the random number and add like something to it to make it bigger, to make it a bigger random number than 0.0, and this way you can create bigger random numbers. I think it should be enough to Yeah, yeah. The addition at the end is if you want to have it this way, you have like the minimum amount. So if you have random number plus 20, then it's always 20. Then it's always more than 20, and the multiplication is how much. Yeah, like for example, if you want numbers from 0 to 10, you have to multiply it by 10, I guess. No, from 0 to 10, you have to multiply it by 10. Yeah. Yeah, min. Oh, interesting. Min before that and times is max. Yeah, he didn't write it like that with minimum and max. So that's a good description. Yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, I think there are some more details like undefined and null and things like that in between. But yeah, quite a lot of stuff, and it's definitely fun dynamics. But at the moment, I'm like, okay, I'm curious for what I am going to use it. I mean, if then statements make absolute sense, but some of the stuff seemed like random. Like, why would I split some strings and reuse them? Like, okay, for usernames, some stuff like that. There was some applications there, but in one coding exercise, I had to split the string skateboard to then only use board, and then replace the O with an E, and then at the end we had facial hair equals beard. I was like, okay, for what am I going to fucking use that? Did you have that exercise as well when you did the course, or did you have a different coding exercise?
I didn't. I mean, it's been years. It's been years, so I totally don't remember, but it feels like I did nothing.
So in this case, console log skateboard. So we had, I think it was sometimes it's still hard for me to recreate the whole context of the code of an exercise. So I don't know what the starting point was exact, but with the split x thing, I put in the numbers. Okay, I think you have that you're using some different syntax than we are than we used. We didn't work with substring.
Got it.
And I think it was let facial hair equal then whatever the variable was for skateboard, point split then the two numbers, point replace, and then E and O or O and E. Yeah, that was the final output. But I don't know what the if the skateboard. I'm not sure if the skateboard, the initial word was console log, or if it was also as a variable. Can strings be variable? Can variables be strings?
So yes, of course, with here variables can be strings. Yes, you can in JavaScript. You can save anything in a variable. There's something in JavaScript which you will learn probably soon. But if not, it's a little spoiler already. JavaScript has a feature which is called first-class functions. So in JavaScript, not only static things like strings and booleans and numbers can be a variable, but even a function can be a variable. So I don't know if we've already gotten to function, but here we define the getRandomNumber function. I can even say like const Leon Anderson equals to getRandomNumber. And now I can use Leon Anderson as if it was the same function. But that's just for another day, I guess. So yes, to answer the root question, string variables can be strings, yeah.
Okay, then I think the exercise started with like let or const something and then equals skateboard, and then we worked from there with let const split and replace, and then equal let facial hair be const equal const split replace. Yeah. it's very new, or it's a very new way of it's very new to me to talk in code. That's a good way to say it. It's fun to describe code. Is very interesting. Interesting to have conversations about code. I find it to be like positively awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Another pretty long session.
Nice. But yeah, it sounds like you've learned a lot today, and I love it. I love how you recap it with people. So if anyone else is following the journey and is also learning how to code, if you learn how to code today, then you can see how much other people can do. And if Leon is faster, that doesn't matter. Like, take your time. It's more important for you to grasp the things and take your time and have fun than to be fast, because you're building your fundament, the fundament of your knowledge, and you want to have a solid fundament. And if you follow the stream, if you follow the series, you're going to get a solid fundament, especially if you follow Code Steer's course. And I just wanted to point on one thing that you've said, Leon, which is you called these one right here operators. But what I just wanted to clarify
Variables,
was
right?
that, yeah, variables are the ones that you assign with const lit and var, and operators are the things that act on the variables. So, for example, a plus, right, or the modulo that you've talked about, or minus. So these things are operators, and these things are variables.
But sometimes in the dollar brackets there are operators too, right?
Here we have an example here, right? So we have just a primitive, just a number. We have the
Primitive.
operator,
Okay.
and we have the variable. And this is so. And if you have this is what is also called in JavaScript an expression. And this expression gets evaluated. So when we look at what is being console logged here, is my number is 42, because if before this gets logged out, so if you remove, let's say, remove the dollar and the curly brackets, then what gets printed out is my number is 41 plus 1, so just the content of the string. But then if we add the curly brackets, because 1 is a primitive, which is a valid thing in JavaScript, plus is an operator, which is a valid thing in JavaScript, and 1 is the variable that we've defined here, JavaScript takes this expression and evaluates it, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So instead of writing the actual string here, it writes the result of the expression, which is my number is 2.
Yes. Yeah, it's good to. I think that missed definitely in this like in the JavaScript section so far, like a index, or how's it called, like a legend, to know, like to have the vocabularies like in one table where it's like this is this is that, like to have it all in one view, and then like maybe one could
Well, fun fact about that is that a lot of people are going very, very far in their career without even knowing this terminology. A lot of the mentees that I train, they don't know certain basic vocabulary. So I think you can
interesting.
look at this from two sides. The first one is you don't need to even know it to be able to later build applications. However, it is very good to know it because you talked about how talking about code can be awkward, right? And one
Exactly.
thing that makes it awkward is if you lack the proper words to even be able to say what you want to say. And this can hinder your career a lot. So
Yes.
even though you can have a career and you can come quite far in your career, there will be points where if you lack the proper vocabulary, you will maybe not get a job, because maybe you have the senior developer skills, but most developers will know what a variable is, right? But let's say something like a primitive. Primitive is a word that not like I've interviewed people who applied for a senior developer position and they didn't know what a primitive was.
Oh wow.
And um, these types of things, especially if you apply for a senior developer position, I'm sure intuitively you know what it is, but if you cannot articulate it well, it can cost you the job. Obviously, in a single job interview, way more is to go wrong than this one thing, right? But depending on who's sitting across from you interviewing you, these things might matter. And I had a friend recently, and this friend applied for a company and they had a coding challenge, as many companies do in their interview process. And during the coding challenge, one thing that they needed to do was they had to sort something. Um, Specifically, they had to sort strings. So there were the context in the coding challenge was it was about a zoo and there were animals and they had to alphabetically sort the animals. And what he did was he implemented his own sorting function. However, this was the thing that ended up costing him the job because they were looking for whether you know that JavaScript has a built-in sorting function for strings, and you can just use that, which will be way less code. So the less code you write, the less bugs you will have. So
Mhm.
the point of the study was it cost him the job because he didn't have a deep enough foundation in logic. Luckily for you, what we're going to do is we're going to give you like a pretty solid fundament with the code stage course, but afterwards we're going to go through another round of fundamentals that we make sure that we discover every single gap, and we will take you from basically junior to senior in record time. And anyone who's watching and who's going with you will also go from junior to senior in record time. And that is also say, right now it doesn't matter. It's good that you pay attention to details, but at the same time you can be completely relaxed because even if stuff falls through the cracks, which is likely, don't worry because eventually we're going to discover these things and we're going to fill them. And the other point was also many people get very far in their career without, or better said, with a deep lack of certain fundamentals because in the end, the thing that matters most is that your app works. And the app doesn't care if you know certain words. Again, it's this real paradox between it's on the one hand very important, and on the other hand, it's somehow not important at all.
Interesting. Yeah. But I like knowing the vocabulary. I mean, as long as it's not like obsessively having um, to train like hundreds of vocabularies. I think it's always better to communicate when knowing the words, and this way it's probably also easier to get constructive feedback and to implement that.
Exactly. And not apart from interviews, right? Another point where having the right vocabulary is very important for you is code review, right? One of the things that people do the most, especially when they work in teams, is before someone puts code into the main code base, so I'm describing it very abstractly here because this is for beginners, right? So we're not going to get into pull requests and stuff just yet. But basically, code review, before someone puts code into the code base, the other teammates read it. And when they read it and they have a comment, they leave comments like, hey, you need to do this way, or you need to do that way. And if you lack the words, that will make the communication there very awkward or very ineffective.
Yeah. I feel excitement to learn all of this.
It is exciting. So before we end, one last question for you, Leon. So this was the first day that you started with JavaScript, right? With kind of the meat, the heart of it all. How do you like the language so far?
Yeah, I really enjoy I think the if statements are like the first or the most concrete where I see the most connection to to building logic and to building problem solving code, basically to build my own machines. Oh, by the way, it's not day 5. I just saw in the banner at the bottom of the screen. Exactly. And I like it definitely. Pretty much. It's fun. There's more. You have to do a bit more thinking, and there's more to it than just looks. I like that a lot. Than just styling.
Awesome. Then this has been day 8 of 100 days of code. As you can see, it only took a week to get from the fundamentals of HTML to CSS to JavaScript. And if you are a developer and you're looking at your own journey, maybe you're already found, or maybe you're still behind, right? But you can do it too, because in the end, it's easy. And this is also another key thing that I wanted to point out about today's lesson. And I think this one is really exciting. So I know we have one viewer right now, so get excited, viewer. This really exciting thing is that people often have the misconception that programming is complicated and that you need to know a lot of math in order to be able to do it. But you don't. Like for most use cases, plus, minus, right, and equals and dividing and multiplication are everything you need to know. So let's capture this here. So addition, multiplication, multiplication, and then subtraction and division, right? So these are the 4 main things that you need to know. And these already open a whole world to you where you can make literally 6 figures per year just knowing these simple 4 math concepts and maybe functions, right? Functions like f of x equals y. But these are things that most people have learned in their first 6 to 7 years of going to school. And today we had one more thing. We had the modulo operator, or how you might have called it in school, the remainder operator. And this little thing opens up all of cryptography. So if you're ever interested in getting into cybersecurity, cryptography, or even going further into blockchains, this little thing is opening up so much, because this little operator is basically responsible for the whole field of elliptic curve cryptography. Again, this is super far into the future for now, but I just want to point out right now that in one week, you've covered everything in terms of math that you need to build a huge career and even to get into deep topics such as cybersecurity, cryptography, and blockchain. Just with these 4 building blocks, the function and the remainder, aka the modulo operator.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yes, it's super exciting. Cool. So this has been the Code Call for day 8 with Leon Anderson. And yeah, until next time on Code Call with
Leon Anderson and my mentor.
Alice Mill. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.